After doing a lot of statistical research on what metrics matter for early NFL success, it became clear that the NFL Combine was largely unimportant for some positions and pretty important for others. And then if you look inside each position, some NFL Combine tests are completely uncorrelated while others hold moderate correlations. If you want the details and to see the graphs, please check out the NFL Draft Analytics series, QB, RB, WR, T, OL, and DEF. But in this column, I won't hit you with stat after stat like I've been doing in every column since I started at RotoWorld. Instead, I'm putting on my scouting cap and figuring out which players can't afford to have a bad day in Indy. As you'll see, the reasons for each player listed are different, but the major theme is that the NFL Combine is more important for touted prospects who didn't have a lot of production in college. That, of course, is not the case with our first player on the list. Kyler Murray, QB, Oklahoma. The biggest part of Murray's evaluation will be largely hidden from us with team interviews coming behind closed doors, but Murray has one primary goal in said interviews: influence the NFL that he's not going to run back to the MLB. Basing off the few interviews I've seen of him, I'm not sure how great of an interview he is, but I'm confident that his passion will come through with essentially millions of dollars on the line. The second thing that Murray needs to accomplish is to be bigger than expected. It appears that Murray has put on some weight, and that was probably done intentionally to help mask questions about being too small to play in the NFL. If Murray can crack 200 pounds, he'll be viewed as a less risky prospect. If he's in the 180s, teams will view him as one of the riskiest players in the entire first round. If you want a guess of his height and weight, I'll throw out 5'9" and 194 pounds, but I can see his camp going all out for the 200-pound mark. If you are curious how much height and weight matters for quarterbacks, please read the NFL Draft Analytics for QB. Daniel Jones, QB, Duke. As shown in the QB stats report, Jones wasn't productive or efficient in college, especially when compared to Kyler Murray or Dwayne Haskins. Instead, Jones' draft stock is held in the hands of what scouts are seeing and how that projects to the NFL. I'm not sure how much I believe these projections, so I'm going to be paying a lot of attention on Jones' throws at the NFL Combine. If his arm appears too weak while throwing next to other NFL quarterbacks, or if he's off target, his draft stock would take a hit more so than any other quarterback who had a bad day. As we've seen in recent weeks, Jones has fallen from potential top 2 quarterback to potential second-rounder, and any chance of a day 1 selection is reliant on how he'll look throwing at the NFL Combine. Dan Singletary, RB, Florida Atlantic. If you read the NFL Draft Analytics for RB, you know that the NFL Combine is largely unimportant. In fact, I suggest buying low on running back prospects who have mediocre to bad, not terrible, measurables at the NFL Combine. On the flip side, we can't buy high on running backs who post high-end marks. So instead, I'll be putting my scouting hat on to see how well Singletary looks as a receiver. Singletary started his career being utilized as a receiver, but that role faded down to just 6 receptions in 2018. That's not what I like to see, but I think that was more coach-inspired and not a reflection of stoned hands. I'm bullish that he'll show those hands during the NFL Combine, but if he doesn't, then it's hard to project him as a 3-down player. Rodney Anderson, RB, Oklahoma. Anderson is coming off a significant knee injury, and we should get some feedback on how teams view his medical history since teams bring their medical staffs to evaluate NFL Combine participants. If he's cleared by team doctors, Anderson should see his draft stock rise from the last 2 rounds in the draft to the day 2/3 borderline. If his medicals are as bad as they're currently being viewed, Anderson is facing an uphill battle, and he'll probably end up as a 5th to 7th rounder. Let's hope he's healthy because he's a really fun player to watch. Elijah Holyfield, RB, Georgia. With only 215 carries and 7 receptions in his 3-year career at Georgia, a lot of Holyfield's draft stock is in his how he projects moving forward based on a small sample of reps. Of course, that's not ideal, but luckily there's the NFL Combine to help underutilized players show that they belong. For Holyfield in particular, I'm confident that he's going to meet minimum thresholds in his athletic testing, so I'll be focused on how he looks cutting in drills and if he's able to be comfortable as a receiver. If he doesn't look like he can be a pass catcher in the NFL, then I'll be placing him into the highly replaceable early down, run-only category. Riley Ridley, WR, Georgia. Ridley looks physically imposing on tape, and there's evidence in that strength translating into production if you look at his advanced touchdown metrics. But that's part of the problem. It takes some digging to find metrics in Ridley's favor since he wasn't used as a WR1 at Georgia. But there is context needed. Ridley was battling for looks with Mecole Hardman, NFL Combine participant, Terry Godwin, NFL Combine participant, Isaac Nauta, NFL Combine participant, Elijah Holyfield, NFL Combine participant, and DeAndre Swift, future NFL Combine participant. However, that lack of production means that we need to see his strengths play out when everyone is together at the NFL Combine. It will be obvious to the trained eye, not me, if Ridley is as good as what scouts say when he's directly next to the other day 2 prospects. However, if he doesn't look overly sharp, then we may be looking at an overhyped player and his draft stock will fall. My guess is that he'll look like a legit day 2 receiver. Terry McLaurin, WR, Ohio State. McLaurin is a receiver I want to love. He has the best yards per target and touchdown rate of any NFL Combine participant, but his age-adjusted production is very worrisome. McLaurin will be among the oldest NFL drafted players this year, and we really should have seen more out of him at Ohio State, even if there is a ton of offensive talent there. So I need to see reasons to remain optimistic at the NFL Combine, and high-end speed is the thing that he should have going for him. If he doesn't test as well as we expect, then his draft stock will rightfully plummet. I'm hoping he can crack 4.40 seconds since he was the fastest tracked player at the Reese's Senior Bowl, 22.1 mph, and anything below 4.45 would be troublesome. Antoine Wesley, WR, Texas Tech. Wesley was one of my favorite players to watch in 2018, and he was a staple in my weekly college football DFS articles because of his high-end production. As a prospect, he's a tough evaluation, in part to his unique frame. Wesley is listed at 6'5" and 200 pounds, and that's exactly what he looks like on tape. Well, that worked in college. I think Wesley would be better against more physical NFL corners if he was between 210 to 215 pounds. Usually, I'm against players bulking up since it often makes them slower, but I think Wesley has the frame to add the weight, so I'm hoping that he weighs in that range during weigh-ins. If he's still on the 200-pound borderline, then I'll downgrade him a bit. Dawson Knox, Ole Miss. Like Isaac Nauta and Trevon Wesco, Knox wasn't fed enough targets in college to get a really firm grasp of their receiving abilities. In his small sample, 3 targets per game, Knox looked like a player capable of winning as a pass catcher, but I'd be more confident if he was featured more. Of course, Knox was splitting looks between 3 NFL-caliber receivers at Ole Miss, so I'm walking a fine line when I'm trying to use analytics and context to rank Knox versus the other tight ends. But Knox won't be in good company if he tests like a below-average athlete with his on-field profile, so I'll be focusing on how Knox performs in the 40-yard dash, broad jump, and cone drill. Those were the most correlated NFL Combine drills to early NFL success. If interested in more details, read the NFL Draft Analytics for Tay. All small school prospects. A small school prospect can't control how great his competition is, but it does mean that he's given fewer opportunities to see how he looks against the best of the best. That's why it's vital that small schoolers get invites to the Senior Bowl, East-West Shrine Game, or the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. Those reps are crucial to the evaluation, and the NFL Combine is another way for scouts to buy into a prospect coming out of a random school. While it's a great opportunity, it can also be one of the last, if things go sideways. Skill position players who fit the mold are Easton Stick, QB, Emmanuel Butler, WR, Keelan Doss, WR, Ashton Dulin, WR, Jazz Ferguson, WR, and Alex Wesley, WR.